Should I do the intro? Shall I do it?
Let's do an intro.
Do a bit of an intro.
Just a little bit.
On.
Yeah.
Let's do an intro. Let's be naughty.
Shall we spoil ourselves?
Naughty. Let's be bad.
I'll do it, right?
Hello everyone, and welcome to the third episode of the Uwe Boll Bowl, our video podcast series where we watch, review, and analyze every episode, every movie. God, it feels like everyone is. I'm having an episode of visionary director Uwe Boll. Last month we took on Alone in the Dark, and this time around we stick with the whole video game theme once again with 2005's Bloodrayne. And as I said last time, God help us all. My name is Tom, and joining me in this moral supportive group is Liam, Ellie, Drew, and conspicuous by his absence, Neil, who has temporarily left us to pursue a career as one of Meatloaf's Romanian prostitutes. So we wish him the best in his endeavors on that. Maybe he'll be back next time. It depends how much Meatloaf is paying, but I can only assume it's more than what we're paying him. But
Meatloaf doesn't pay. You're trying to tell me Meatloaf was... I don't think Meatloaf has paid for anything since at least 1985.
I wonder what's in Meatloaf's wallet. I want to know what he's packing in there.
Just condoms. Dozens of condoms.
Ham and condoms. Yeah.
Spilling out of there.
Ham-flavored condoms.
I can't think of a person more suited to be fed grapes by nubile women than Meatloaf.
Without jumping too much into the bits that we're going to do, no human has ever personified hedonism bot from Futurama more so than Meatloaf in this movie.
So Ellie and I watched Bloodrayne together, and it was Ellie's second watch, the poor bitch. And as we were sat there, and we were kind of like watching it, and we were at a Chinese on a lap, and I looked up and was like, oh, that looks like Meatloaf. That's fucking Meatloaf! I almost dashed my sweet and sour balls across the room. I was so surprised.
Oh, really? See, I made the majority of my notes. I front-loaded all of my action when I was coming up with things to say about this movie. 90% of it was the credits. I had to stop and pause and write veritable paragraphs of shit about the credits because I was just like, Billy Zane? What?
Billy Zane doing his best job at chewing the fucking scenery. God bless that boy.
This movie had a $25 million budget and they used it to its full extent, and not in special effects, just in the cast budget. And my God.
It just went along, and I kept thinking, I had to Google the actors and look at their IMDb pages and extrapolate based on like filming schedules. What lot were they on next door filming another better film that they should have been spending time on? And did they just drag them in from the other side of LA, just drunk off of their ass, apparently for like half of them? I don't know.
I mean, Michael Madsen.
Michael Madsen was wasted the whole time.
Bastard, yeah.
And
right, so I do have, and this, I'm going to go ahead and say, this is sort of quality fucking humor. Just putting this out there right now. In the credits, Meatloaf is credited as Meatloaf a Day, to which I, and Ellie can vouch, I very cleverly turned to Ellie and said, Meatloaf a Day keeps the doctor away. So,
at that point, I decided I wasn't going to do this podcast anymore. I replaced myself with my full-scale body double.
That's something to be proud of, Lou. That's going in before the intro. You know, the little clip.
So you all got that it was a Meatloaf a Day, it keeps the doctor away. You all got that. That joke that I was telling.
Yeah, sophisticated as it was.
Yes.
We somehow managed to pass the incredible depth of that joke.
Yeah, I think you might need to explain it again, just to be safe.
So a Meatloaf a Day.
Hold on. Meatloaf.
Right.
Meatloaf?
Meatloaf, as in a loaf of meat, but also famous 1980s rock musician Meat Loaf.
Oh, okay.
Right?
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, you mean Marvin Lee a Day?
How often the Meatloaf?
Approximately one per day. Roughly 24 hours. And that keeps the doctor away.
Why does it keep the doctor away? I didn't get that bit.
You see, there's a famous idiom about an apple. I want to point out it is 29 degrees.
We've lost all three listeners at this point.
I don't know why I'm torturing myself by elongating this. I'm suffering as much as everyone else.
in all fairness, it is about the joke that like the work of Uwe Boll deserves.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
Like,
yeah.
you know when it's like you're working a minimum wage job and it's like minimum wage, minimum effort. That's how I feel. It's like I'm getting minimum artistic integrity in, minimum artistic integrity out.
Yep.
Yeah.
I feel like that's going to set the tone for the rest of this episode. So, yeah.
That being said, like I had a very viscerally unpleasant reaction to Alone in the Dark. I was a worse, angrier, more embittered person.
Yeah.
I've seen Bloodrayne twice now, and I'm going to say it. Uwe, beef been squashed. You know what? I had a fucking whale of a time with this movie.
Well, Uwe Boll, all is forgiven. Yeah, I didn't feel the need to start supping on whiskey at the half-point mark. Like, I enjoyed this film. I hate that I'm saying that about a film made by esteemed German psychopath Uwe Boll. But I enjoyed this fucking film.
It felt like the first time that he's really embraced the fact that he makes camp. He makes camp movies. And this seemed like the first time where he was just like, all right, I'll stop pretending that that's not what I'm doing. And I don't know how much of what was good is because of the heavily rewritten original draft of the script by Guinevere Turner, screenwriter of American Psycho and the notorious Betty Page.
Yeah.
Which apparently I was reading it up, but she said about 20% of her script made it in, and Uwe Boll claims it's because she turned in her draft 2 weeks late, and he just decided not to do any revisions and make the movie.
I was always wondering what the 20% was, and I was thinking, no matter which 20%, it's shameful. Like, saying that doesn't give you any kind of defense. Anything higher than 0.5%, which would be the word "the."
I am absolutely positive that her 20% is the opening of the film, because in my typical fashion of forcing myself to give these films genuine compliments, I would maintain that the exposition at the beginning of the film is actually pretty solid.
Yeah.
I'm so confused. Are you kidding me? I even wrote down the lore is completely mystery to me. I have no idea what's going on.
The lore is hog shit, because the lore the lore is fucking nonsense. And also that opening crawl that keeps showing like medieval manuscripts, like illuminated manuscripts, but they can't afford like the proper ones. So there's just like a bunch of stuff with very obviously racist Jewish caricatures in the background.
And then a version of they do one for Ben Kingsley's character, but he looks like
seamlessly.
He looks like an avatar from Civilization 5. But no, Civilization 4. That's how bad it is.
It's like if Ben Kingsley got really into Second Life. Like that's what he looks like. It's such a strange look.
But like when Michael Madsen, Michelle Rodriguez, and Beige Whiteman turn up at the Ren Fair, and they go to the guy's bar, and like the man who Liam has just decided was named Greg, which is very difficult because the real Greg is also in this film.
Greg, I can't wait to get to Greg. Sorry.
So the bland beige man, he just like lifts up a mirror, and it's like, oh, okay, it's a vampire. It kills it, and then they cut to explaining Rain's power, and they actually managed it. Like, it's like Uwe Boll discovered Show Don't Tell for 15 minutes of his movie, up until they had finished establishing like that there are some vampire hunters and that Rain has these various powers, and then after that he forgot how to make a film. But I would maintain that initial burst of like character exposition, judging on the bell curve that we're grading these films on, pretty solid-ish.
Yeah, I mean,
also like it concluded that exposition bit concluded with an Uwe Boll like flash cut moment, like the flash cuts that you got in House of the Dead with the fucking zombies and stuff. Yeah. Like it ends with one of those, which I think is the end of the good bit, and that's about 5 minutes in. So,
I was going to say the exposition after that is about as subtle as a sledgehammer. Like there is just paragraphs of script where they're just saying, and then this happened, and this happens because of this, and this happens because of this, and this is what's happening. So deal with it, you bastards. And so it's
the fortune teller. The fortune teller lady
is a thing that exists in this universe.
Not talking over each other.
Sorry, Ellie.
It's the fortune teller lady, who is Charlie Chaplin's daughter, by the way.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, she was in, what was it, Dr. Zhivago? One of those.
Yeah. But, like, she is charismatic enough that her fucking exposition dump, I was still, like, pretty, like, engaged. And also very distracted, because when Rain sits down to talk to the fortune teller, she sits in the least heterosexual position any character has ever sat in any film.
In it, yeah.
So that got me, I'm like, because then that's immediately, like, preceded by a very sapphic vampire scene.
Yeah, she makes out with someone who, she makes out with a vampire who doesn't know she's being bitten until she's dead. Like,
she was so chill.
She's leans in, takes the bite, and it's like, oh, okay, no, this is like a vampire thing. She's trying to fight, like, the Rain wanders off, and she's like, oh. Whoopsie diddly do, and it just goes down like a sack of shit. It's delightful, absolutely delightful.
Yeah, my expectations were actually pretty high. Like after that first 15-20 minutes,
Alone in the Dark fucking ruined you. I now see this for the fact that it is.
No, right, okay. As Ellie's best friend, I can vouch that she has the highest tolerance for suspension of disbelief I've encountered in any.
I mean, she's friends with you, of course.
So you've been around from the start.
This person seems entertaining. Yeah, no, absolutely. I fully fucking get it. But I also will say, I did enjoy this film.
It was fun. Yeah, it was a good time.
Like, I enjoyed it for the first maybe 3 quarters. Apart from a couple of really, really beautiful idiosyncrasies that only Uwe Boll could have come up with, or the necessities of the script, because I do definitely feel like he was handed a script he had no idea what to do with, so he just did his Uwe thing for a lot of it. But for the first 3 quarters, I was genuinely entertained in the same way that I was entertained watching Hercules or Xena, the Saturday morning ones, you know. Or the Jeremy Irons Dungeons and Dragons. Like, I will go back and enjoy those things because they are schlock, just pure schlock. And they are enjoyable on that level. You just got to get yourself in the right headspace. And I think this is the first Uwe Boll movie where it does actually neatly fit into a place. There is a place for this movie.
Yeah.
Like, it's not that it's this fucking weird mutant anomaly that needs to be torched immediately. It's like, oh, you can go over there with that. That's where you go now.
I think part of it is that this feels like the first film where he was willing to acknowledge that he was making a film based on a video game.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of video game shit there are mini bosses, there are puzzles, there are traps. There is a character in it who I literally put in my notes down as Hammer Brother. Because he was a monk with a big hammer.
He was a monk with a big hammer. He's a hammer bro. Yeah.
It was the monk with the big hammer. The extras in this movie were the best part, for sure. There was Hammer Monk and there was Ninja Monk. Ninja Monk was my fucking favorite. Oh my God. When he came on the screen, I was full on like cheering like it was a WWE match. He was kicking ass, flipping all over the place. And I was just like, this is weird if you're not Asian, but you're not, are you? This is strange.
But then you've also got the actual Greg. So when we refer to actual Greg, obviously we're referring to the guy who appears as Greg in House of the Dead, wasn't it?
Yes. The great Will Sanderson.
Yeah.
Will Sanderson.
Dr. Will Sanderson.
In our first episode, who says "Hubbity Bubbity," the best line in the film. He appears in this film as like the dragon, the antagonist Ben Kingsley's like second in command, with what can only be described. His hair can only be described as a really big rat tail. Like, it's stunning. It starts here and it just keeps going and then going and then going and then like it gently tapers off somewhere around his bumhole, I imagine. Like, it's fucking.
His whole look was amazing because he had a chin strap. He had a mohawk and then pattern shaved into his head that swung around. Like, Which, if you think about it, is perfect because he looks like a douchebag. He looks like an ultimate douchebag. And I really think that more dragons or villains should actually look like douchebags really look. Like the next villain should be like a white guy with dreadlocks and lines shaved into his eyebrows and a fucking grill. I would hate that guy. I would hate him so much. And I would cheer so much when he's killed.
You are also describing the Joker from the first Suicide Squad film, so...
Yes, the perfect villain.
We don't need any more meta villains.
Not the Joker, Jared Leto. Jared Leto was the final boss of the Hollywood.
Jared Leto is the final boss of the world.
Did you see he released a shirt through the 30 Seconds to Mars web store that just said "We live in a society"? So he is making money off this stuff. He knows he's hated, and
this is why he's such a prick, because he's trying so fucking hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, you look at the douchebaggery on display when Will Sanderson is on screen refusing to have any facial expressions in Bloodrayne, and you think Jared Leto could never.
Yeah.
No.
Like Will Sanderson could have played the Suicide Squad Joker. Jared Leto could never have played Greg or Donatia. Or
his name is Greg. Don't worry about it. His name is Greg.
Army person number 4 in Alone in the Dark.
Alone in the Dark.
Of course, yeah.
He did have one facial expression, poor Greg, and that was like, you know, the Tom Holland thing was, "Oh my God, it's from Danny Jr." That thing where it's him in front of Ben Kingsley going, "It's Ben Kingsley."
That's true.
Fully freaking out.
It's made even weirder by the fact that Ben Kingsley was barely in this movie, even when he was on screen. Like, every time he was fucking on screen, it's just like Ben Kingsley being like, "Hello," and that's it. Like, and that's the most you're getting out of it.
Did you notice that he never made eye contact with anybody? He was just like staring off. Like,
I was convinced he was reading off cue cards the entire time. The entire time. He did not look at that script before he got on set. Not once.
I genuinely think that in his contract, it was like, Mr. Kingsley will agree to shoot for this long, and 90% of it, he must be allowed to sit down.
So a couple of the times.
Weirdly as well, because there is a scene where like a little girl is brought to him so he can eat her or whatever the fuck. And he sat like this. Ain't I a stinker?
And I do that?
Fucking weird. Like, if Rain sits like a bisexual at the beginning of the film, Ben Kingsley sits like a heterosexual halfway through. It's fucking ridiculous.
Drew, you need to
Drew,
please do a video on how people sit in film. You've done how people eat, now you got to do how people sit.
I know it's a joke, but like somebody actually already has done that. It's very good. Actually, I can't remember who did it. It was like Just Right or Lesson Screenplay or someone. One of those guys did a thing about chairs in movies. Really, really, really good video actually. How some chairs make you like look diminished or like more intimidating or something like that.
Or
genuinely,
like Ben Kingsley. Yeah.
Or, I don't think he ever got that far. Into the mouth of madness itself. I don't think he was like, let me shout out Bloodrayne for its effective use of chairs. You know, no one did that. But sometimes in the Ben Kingsley scenes, it was, I think I did a side-by-side. It was exactly the same angle, camera placement, and guy entered into from scene left or to deliver his dialogue. And it really became clear they only had him for like 2 hours.
Oh, yeah.
And they shot all of it from there. Because like, you know when you can spot between scenes when someone's hair looks different or this and that, and he was wearing makeup as well to look all vampire-y and everything like that. From the start of the movie to the end, he looked flawless. And I don't mean that as a compliment to the makeup and costuming department. I mean that as like a slate on their filming schedule, which was, we've got Kingsley for 5 minutes. Go, let's fucking do it. Let's do the scene.
And what's even better is he clearly couldn't be fucked even at the end of those 2 hours. Because right at the end of the film, there are shots where he very clearly is putting in as little effort as is physically possible.
Yeah.
Having to stand up is way out of his league in this fucking film. Like, he is not doing it for anything less than a mil. Like,
the single moment for me that like absolutely typifies that is, spoiler alert, when Michael Madsen dies, Ben Kingsley's method of dispatching him is the I'm just gonna walk forward method of every 8-year-old ever, where Michael Madsen is being held by the arm, and Ben Kingsley takes his rapier and he just walks it into the fucking bastard.
And from the other side, Michael Madsen kind of looks at him like, really? Fucking really? And then he just takes it out again.
The least enthusiastic death in any film. It was fucking perfect. This is why I say, like, I genuinely like this movie because there was no point in it where each scene didn't have at least one thing that made me happy that I was watching it.
Oh my god!
Like, honestly, if you cut back to any moment after Madsen has died, I would not be surprised if he was wearing headphones and just listening to a podcast or something.
Podcasts back in 2005 were terrible, so they must have been really bored.
Like fucking This American Life episode on the milk crisis. And that actually is quite interesting. Thanks, Ira. Like,
I can just imagine him wherever they were filming it. It must have been in Germany or something, I guess. Just Michael Madsen just getting his agent or assistant or whatever, if they had assistants, probably for someone with his name, just being like,
no, there is one assistant, and I will get to that in a bit because Ellie and I made a shock discovery.
Oh, was that your shock discovery? I've been on the edge of my fucking seat like Ben Kingsley.
We're going to get to it. We're going to get to it.
I will say they actually filmed it in Romania.
On site. Okay, so it was Romania because I looked at it and I was like, this is Europe.
And here, this is the most perfect Uwe Boll thing. You're like, oh, the authenticity. They filmed it in Romania, in the castle where Vlad the Impaler presumably spent a night once.
Ooh, spooky.
Not bad.
Like not his castle or like a notable. No, there was a castle there, and since it was in the area, there's a non-zero chance that Vlad, I don't know, took a slash in the Johnny at one point. In the Johnny? No.
Slash in the Johnny.
A slash in the Johnny.
Yeah, lovely slash in the Johnny. Yeah. That's northern slang for when you masturbate someone from behind. Anyway.
Oh dear. Well, on that note, I'm just going to do the one sentence synopsis for this film that's on IMDb.
The synopsis. Why did we forget that?
I was waiting for the time, but it's okay. It's okay.
Oh my god.
In the 18th century, a vampire escapes from the freak show in which she once participated and teams up with a group of vampire slayers to kill the man who raped her mother. That's basically what happens. There's a lot of fun stuff that happens along the way, which we've already touched on some of it, and we'll touch on some more, much like a slash Johnny. And
normally we have to interrupt you on the synopsis and be like, hang on, before you go any further, I have words.
That's why I've condensed it down into about 25 words this time. That's basically Bloodrayne in a nutshell.
At the risk of like immediate demonetization, I do want to get into this rape aspect a little bit.
Yes. Oh, I'm glad you said that first because I was about to question that element of the story. Because he didn't, did he?
At no point is it shown. Now, obviously, it is heavily implied because he is Rayne's parent, but he's a dad. He's a dad.
Yeah.
How does she remember it then? Did she have pre-coital memories?
She remembers seeing him murder her mother,
but not the act.
And so this is the thing. Okay, but Rayne's lines exclusively are based around sexual assault that is never shown, has no relevance whatsoever, and it feels like Uwe put that in there just as this little like extra
edge almost.
This little like it was just, I've just got to get that little bit of extra thing in there. And it's like, it's just so tonally inconsistent with everything else that's going on. And every time she hits that word and she fucking emphasizes it as hard as possible. And it's just like, you're just waiting. It's like, okay, now back to silly film.
Yeah. Michael Madsen will say something with his tiny mouth. And then Rayne will come in and be like, rape. And it's like, no. Really? Come on now.
Michael Madsen said absolutely nothing with his tiny mouth. A ghost of Michael Madsen recorded ADR after the fact, and his tiny mouth was going, and his voiceover was going, "My good sir, what are you doing today?"
The third note I have after the very good meatloaf a day keeps the doctor away joke. The third note I have is Michael Madsen has such a big head and has never once moved his lips.
I put Michael Madsen's wig is special.
That's the thing, right? This film has some great gore and some fucking bad hair. Like, everyone looks there's that bit in the where the vampires are stored in the castle and stuff. And every person looks like Dave Mustaine. Like, really shit hair, like really dumb shit hair.
Yeah, all of the hair was terrible. And then there was I'm so glad someone else, I think it was Ellie, said, oh yeah, bland white guy. Because I have the names of the actors or what I remember from the characters. I've got Rain, Michael Madsen, Ben Kingsley written in my notes, and then I've just got white guy. And that's about it. With the only note underneath it being Sean William Scott had scheduling conflicts. And I looked into it and I fucking remembered, and I didn't recognize him. I don't know if any of you saw Vampire Diaries, but he plays fucking Alaric in Vampire Diaries. He went on to better things in life, and I'm so honestly proud of him. Like,
is that where we're at? Where we're saying, oh, he was in Vampire Diaries. What an improvement.
That's at least paid work. Which, honestly, after Bloodrayne, I wouldn't...
Kingsley wasn't in Vampire Diaries.
What a hack!
He peaked in Fable 3. We all know it.
All I'm saying is that it was far better than I ever predicted for any of them. Vampire Diaries. You didn't even get to Twilight. You got to Vampire Diaries.
I mean, at this point, Peter Molyneux has become the Uwe Boll of video games. So
you leave him out of it.
Oh, of course.
You leave my biological dad out of it.
Liam and I actually talked about this because we said he is like Uwe Boll is like he's the evil Peter Molyneux.
Yes, he's a liar, but he's a very mean liar as well. Whereas Peter Molyneux is a liar, but a very nice liar.
He just gets overexcited.
Yeah, he gets really giddy and then says he's going to put like vampire rapists in his films / a tree that you can grow.
I could absolutely see that. Peter Molyneux / Uwe Boll being like, I've made this movie with Ben Kingsley and Michael Madsen and Billy Zane and the lady from Terminator 3. It's going to be amazing, guys. And you would pay to see. I would love to see whatever that imaginary movie is.
I think we do need to talk a little bit about Billy Zane in this movie.
Yeah.
Because he's the best thing in it.
Oh my God. Favorite.
Best thing in the movie with the worst wig as well.
Yeah,
again, also, bad hair, good gore.
Looks like straw. It did feel like in his scenes that he was writing the script with the guy as he's saying it, because he's only in the 2 scenes. And I thought we were just going to get the one cameo scene. We had the one Billy Zane scene where he's like, yes, my daughter must come and save the world from darkness and evil. And this isn't me trying to remember it. That was Billy Zane acting was going and prevent humanity from being destroyed and kill the rapist vampire and so on and so forth and blah, 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 blah.
I think she's the only bisexual in this film.
Okay.
You're such a sucker.
The second scene with him and Domestir, he wants to fuck Greg so bad in that scene.
Yeah. The entire time is just like, ooh.
I was more engaged with this bizarre sexual back and forth between Greg and Billy Zane than anything else in this movie.
Oh my God, it was brilliant.
There's an actual sex scene in this movie with less sexual tension in it than Billy Zane having things thrown at him by Greg.
Stop tossing things at me.
That line, I said that as a joke, and then when he said it again, I almost threw my Chinese. Like I think
he must have ad-libbed, because the Billy Zane lines were genuinely funny. In any context, the Billy Zane scenes were comedy gold. Everything he was saying was like, "God, you're such a suck-up," and stop tossing things at me.
Stop tossing things at me.
Yeah, so good. That was genuinely funny, and I was so pleased, just at the bare minimum, to have 2 Billy Zane scenes in 2 different locations. That made my day.
He earned his credit, his plaudits in the opening credits of special appearance by Billy Zane. Everyone else is either starring or with. He is special appearance Billy Zane. So
what's interesting is that Billy Zane and Uwe Boll had a very tumultuous relationship. Uwe Boll sued Billy Zane for $700,000 for lost revenues because of how much of a fucking flop Bloodrayne was. Because, for context, House of the Dead and Alone in the Dark both made between like 12 and 13 million, like way less than their budgets. Bloodrayne made 3.7 million on a 25 million budget, which is just extraordinary. But supposedly Billy Zane convinced Uwe Boll to work with a particular distribution company, like Romar Entertainment, with Uwe Boll paying a $10 million advance for advertising and promotion. But apparently like 900 grand of that was just paid out to Billy Zane and the head of this fucking distribution company, and the film opened in like less than half the number of theaters that they said it was going to. I don't know how the lawsuit was resolved. Like the only information I've been able to find is like a Wayback Machine Hollywood Reporter article that's like 2 paragraphs long.
The latest I could find on it was 2009. I dug through many, many pages of results trying to find any result for it, and can only assume that because Uwe Boll didn't do like a 10-minute YouTube video of him dancing naked over piles of cash taken from Billy Zane, that either he dropped the lawsuit because of like court costs, or it was inconclusive, or it was thrown out of court, or something like that. But he claims that Billy Zane recommended Romar as the production company, not knowing that it was basically just 3 guys, one of whom was Billy Zane. And they distributed something like 8 movies and then immediately went out of business about a year after Bloodrayne. So that was like the biggest snatch and grab job I've ever seen, which is amazing in an Uwe Boll movie because that's what he's supposed to do. And
this just lends more credence to my idea that Uwe Boll is a child. He is an 11-year-old boy who keeps being given tens of millions of dollars and real live actors to do a thing that he has absolutely no business being involved in. He doesn't know how films work. He doesn't know how film production works. He doesn't know how film distribution works. Like, apparently he knows how restaurants work. Yeah, that's about it.
He's got a restaurant. Yeah.
But it's like, you know, going back to the whole sort of like rape element of it, that feels like the thing that like a teenage writer would put in just to be edgy and for no other substantial reason. So absolutely. But speaking of the lawsuit, I didn't know anything about that, but to get all YouTubey now, let us know what side you fall down on in the comments. Are you an Uwe boy or a Zaniac?
Are you Team Zane?
No, they're called the Zaniacs.
Subscribe if you want to subscribe to Billy Zane. Everybody like coming to subscribe for Billy Zane. This is the Zane cast.
We are the Zaniacs.
We're pivoting away from Uwe Boll to exclusively talk about times that Billy Zane has worn impressive wigs.
Number 1, Titanic.
Number 2, Twin Peaks Season 2.
Number 3, The Phantom.
Oh my God. There's another guy who almost had a career.
Can we just shift over to Billy Zane's filmography instead? We'll call it like the Zane game or something.
Yeah.
I want to do that instead.
The Uwe Zane Bowl. Yeah.
I don't want to watch Dungeon Siege Tale.
No Zane, no
in the
pain.
Name of the King.
Shut up, we're doing it. This is your life now.
Finish what you started.
If we survive through all the Uwe Boll films, then Billy Zane is next. And that's a promise.
We'll have our series No Zane, No Gain. Oh no.
So another thing that like struck me is this is the first time that Uwe Boll has directed melee combat. Everything else has been firearms based up until this point. And I will say, without a shadow of the doubt, some of the most truly incomprehensible fight scenes I have ever seen committed to celluloid.
I was very disappointed that he dropped his usual Uwe style, which is no style, just whatever the fuck comes to his coked up brain in that moment, and traded it in for the most generic rapid edit sword fight shit, you know, to hide the fact that your choreographers have no idea what they're doing, your actors aren't trained or something like that. You just hide it with rapid cutting and everything like that. I was so disappointed because the minute I saw the Ninja Monk and Michael Madsen and a bunch of vampires all looking like Dave Mustaine, I was like, oh, this is a beautiful recipe. I couldn't wait for like the Nightwish to start playing and, you know, it to start doing that Photoshop where everything looks like glowing lines. I wanted that to happen so badly, but it was generically bad.
I'll say there were I will say this film had some astonishing cuts, like cuts that I maintain are worth the price of admission. There's one where Rain swings her sword out in a horizontal slice, and then the next cut is it directly through a vampire's face.
Yeah.
We don't see how it got in there. It's just she begins the swing and then it cuts and it's in the face. And the other one is when they go to Meatloaf's house, and you see it's White Bread is lifting up his arrow, his bow, and then it immediately cuts to just
a guy with an arrow in his chest, like fuck.
And it is just it's the most Monty Python bullshit edit I've ever seen. And
it's like the bit in Holy Grail where they're at the gate and they keep looking back and it's just Lancelot running. Like it's exactly like that. Meatloaf is there as well. And also, can we quickly make the point that Meatloaf in this film is just the Meatloaf that appears in the music video for I Would Do Anything for Love? It's him. It's just him playing himself. Like,
I have to say that when you said they go to Meatloaf's house, I imagined it like that one Keanu Reeves cameo. They just get in there. It's just Meatloaf, and he's like, "Hey guys, come on in. Yeah, you can film your dumb movie here.
I will do anything for money
high right now."
I wouldn't be surprised if they were like, "Hey, Meatloaf won't leave the building we want to film in. Can we just film around him?"
Meatloaf is having another one of his vampire orgies. Is it okay if we just put him in the film?
I'm sure you guys read up on this as well, but the prostitutes, the women in those films weren't actresses or actors. They were real prostitutes because it was cheaper for Uwe Boll than hiring actors.
Yeah. He just hired a bunch of Romanian sex workers.
I think really goes to show, I'm going to choose to believe that is Uwe Boll's staunch pro-sex work attitude that is deeply progressive, and not that he is a scum man who should be in a pond.
This is a firm tradition that lasted all the way up to Game of Thrones. Come on. What legitimate work are sex workers gonna get outside of OnlyFans? They need Game of Thrones and Bloodrayne to make the ends meet.
No, I have a bunch of sex worker friends, and all of them have way too much dignity to everything in fucking Bloodrayne.
Exactly. Yeah, I was about to say the exact same thing. Every sex worker I have met. Every sex
Meatloaf,
worker
maybe not, but them, absolutely.
Because of this film, whatever hierarchy there is like sex workers, and then it's like Michael Madsen.
Yeah.
But going back to the combat very briefly, I was in the position that I watched Bloodrayne for the first time the same day that I saw Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings.
Oh, wow.
And the difference in the hand-to-hand combat between those films is like a gourmet triangle of either brie or camembert melted just to perfection and rotten semen set into a bowl of aspic. That is...
Do you know how bad something has to be for somebody to be like, wow, you know what? The fight choreography in the Marvel film.
Hang on.
Good.
Shang-Chi is actually pretty good. They use a lot of martial arts choreography in there. That is actually pretty good.
Like if they do, that will be literally the first time that those movies have ever had any decent fight choreography ever.
True.
Yeah.
True.
I will say
every time I've watched a Marvel film, I am awake for every moment with the celebrities like Robert Downey Jr. and then the fight will happen and then just
then you get
Robert your brain shuts the fuck off when they start.
Oh yeah.
But I think I was more engaged with the combat in Bloodrayne for one particular reason, and it is that Michael Madsen holds a sword like a man who did not know what a sword was until it was handed to him.
So good.
He is so confused every minute that he has to have a sword in his hand.
It's sort of hanging limply in his hands like that the whole time. And it's only exemplified because he has a bizarre sword with 2 crossguards on it for some reason. I don't know why. It was a very weirdly designed sword. And the whole time, it's sort of hanging limply in his hand like he's like, should I be holding this? Someone hold this from me?
He holds it like he's holding a used condom with a spider in it. What
do I do? Fuck. Oh, shit.
I don't want to put it down in case it gets out.
I also kept awake in the fight scenes because of the amazing sound design. of the thunks. It sounded like the thunk that you would download for free. It was thunk, 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 thunk. And it was like, that was a sword hitting a stick. First of all, how did it not break? Second of all, it just made a...
Yeah, it's not often that you hear a fight choreography, like sound effects being done on a fucking MIDI keyboard. Like, it's, every now and then I was expecting it to like go, DJ, come on.
Random dog barking noises start popping up.
Speaking of the fights, though, the blood, the fake blood of this film is so inconsistent. Sometimes it was really, good and whatever. Sometimes it looked like, when you get a bottle of ketchup and you get a bit of the ketchup pre-cum that comes out first, where it's just like really watery with like 2% actual ketchup. A lot of the blood looked like that, like he perhaps watered it down to make it last longer.
Yeah.
The bit where Michael Madsen gets stabbed, it looks like he spilt beans down himself. That's why he looks so frustrated. He's like, I just got this shirt.
Uwe said I could keep this.
I've been invited to one of Meatloaf's vampire orgies. I was going to wear this.
Actually, on the subject of blood, I will say, at Meatloaf's vampire orgy, humans on tap.
That's amazing.
That's
pretty cool.
Good.
That's pretty cool.
And also
fantastic.
the when they enter this, because previously it's just been sort of like Michael Madsen and Michelle Rodriguez and her wonderful collection of accents that she has throughout this film. They were mostly
Welcome to Romania.
They were around the peasantry and when they're at the vampire orgy, immediately it's like it made these guys look like the biggest bunch of fucking virgin narcs you've ever seen. Like I have never because here's the thing. People who are like vampire hunters are always kind of more lame than vampires.
Yeah.
But Blade can interrupt the blood rave because he's Wesley Snipes and plays it off like he's doing the ultimate blaxploitation performance, and it fucking rules. Yeah. Michael Madsen and Vampire Diaries
and Greg.
Do not bring this
on his dick.
They do not bring this energy to this vampire orgy. So it just looks like a pair of fucking nerds who have just come to collect somebody who's gotten a little bit too drunk. And
I did have that vibe when they started the fight and Michael Madsen and Meatloaf started fighting. It gave me strong flashbacks to Obi-Wan and Darth Vader fighting in A New Hope. That is two old men who don't want to be there. Just really drunkenly. It did look lame as hell.
Yeah, there's the thing, right? If Michael Madsen is uncomfortable with the sword, Meatloaf is uncomfortable with basic physical action. So,
Meatloaf is very comfortable with his sword. Let's be honest.
Honestly, Meatloaf a bit too comfortable with the sword. Now, Meatloaf.
Had this film been made 10 years earlier, Meatloaf would have been played by an aging Orson Welles. For sure. He would have come off the set of a Paul Masson advert and gone straight into his vampire den.
I see you've come to the vampire orgy.
I would have loved a Marlon Brando performance out of him as well. Just coming out like he's bottomless from the entire... He's just doesn't have any pants off and they're like, we'll work with it, we'll roll with it. This is in character for some reason.
Why can't the vampires be gay?
Wearing a shirt.
What is it about bad vampire movies that make really, really good actors just suddenly do this laugh with a what is it about that laugh that it rips it out of really good actors like Michael Sheen or Meatloaf and just makes them do that laugh? I don't understand.
I think it's because they all got together and they said, hey, listen, Ellie's had a rough couple of years. Can we just do this thing specifically for her in all of our films? I think it'll make her very happy. And you know what? I'm glad that they did, because it improves my mood every day.
So my theory on why that is the archetypal vampire laugh is because all vampires are bisexuals and every bisexual I know laughs like that. So
motherfucker, I don't laugh like that. Am I not bi? Is this my straight awareness moment?
Yeah, I'm so sorry.
Sorry.
You don't get to wear the fucking pin or the badge unless you do that.
Yeah. Like, you're not allowed to. You come out. You've got to go back in.
Is that the secret knock to get into the bisexual clubs? No.
You're not a friend of Dorothy anymore. You laugh like Dorothy. That's the code.
There is a degree of validity to what Liam says, though, because I maintain that, like, I don't think there are any heterosexual people in this movie because White Bread and Rain have sex, and neither of them are even remotely interested.
That is true. That is very.
It's
true.
a better sex scene than Alone in the Dark had. I'll give it that.
Yeah, but that's points for creativity.
And there wasn't a song about the civil rights movement playing over it.
Here's the crazy thing. So Michelle Rodriguez and
Greg.
Kristana Loken plays Rain. They have a sword fight in the middle of it, and it is somehow completely devoid of chemistry, whilst also still being more erotically charged than the sex scene that preceded it.
Yeah. But apparently they did have a relationship off camera as well.
Kristana Loken and Michelle Rodriguez were dating while filming it. And like, where did that chemistry? Like, I want like a Brad and Angelina, Mr. and Mrs. Smith level chemistry. If you're actually fucking offset, don't come in. Like, how lazy is this? Either that or it was a very, very bad relationship.
It wasn't lazy. Michelle Rodriguez was just focusing so hard on her accent. She didn't. She's just like, honey. No, I love you and all, but come on, let me do my. You don't want to go there, sir. Just like she was just focusing. I must
speak to my father.
I must return.
Vladimir, what will we do for Brimstone, Vladimir?
We've been sent a letter by my father.
meanwhile, cut to Billy
wants me to join him.
Fucking cut to Billy Zane being the most American fruit in the world as well. Like they don't have the same accent in this film. It is fucking incredible. No two characters have the same accent in this film.
No.
Despite ostensibly all being from the same place.
Holy shit, yeah. Michael Madsen, an American actor, speaks an American accent. Ben Kingsley, British actor, British accent. Michelle Rodriguez, American actress, British accent. And also Kristana Loken with the Rain. Yeah, she's American as well.
I'm pretty sure they asked Michael Madsen to do it and he just wasn't cooperating. He just said no.
What if that's why the ADR is so bad? Like if we get the on-set footage, you've got Michael Madsen, it's just like, I've hunted the vampire.
Doing a proper Dick Van Dyke in Poppins.
There's a vampire around here, all right?
Hello, love, you want a steak in the art? Go on then, I'll fight you, meatloaf. Let's smash your windows.
That scene where
bloody vampire orgies.
The scene where they stage the prison escape. He's like, "Oi, Bobby, open up the bloody door. Where's the Where's gone the blier?"
Well, hello. What's all this then?
Every now and then, just breaking out into Oliver show tunes like, "Come to yourself, mate."
Oi, meatloaf. Fuck off!
That's getting clipped.
That's definitely like Meatloaf's first and only Clapham gig, like that.
I'll do anything for love.
That actually brings quite nicely to my the point in my notes where I have a slight mental breakdown. It happens once per film. There's always a point where you can see in my notes that they get visibly worse, and there is one note in here that says, "Like a batter of bat, I'm a bat and a batting bat."
Oh no! You're filth.
This is the last episode of the Uwe Boll Bowl. It's been very nice while it's lasted.
Join us next week for Zane.
Do you know how I know that joke was not even worth really bringing up? And the only reason I bring it up is like, I'm holding myself accountable. I'm standing before you, my friends.
I'm rethinking that.
Friends? Yeah. They're nice.
It's because when I wrote that down, I didn't even turn to Ellie to say it.
That's the thing, like, you saying that to me, and it's like, knowing that you came up with that joke in my presence. Like, I was in your home when you did that.
Yeah, my business is like a bat out of bat. I'm a bat and I'm batting bat.
I can just imagine, because either that came to you immediately, fully formed, like Athena, or
like Athena from Zeus's forehead.
Exactly. Or I can just imagine you chuckling like George Bush for like 5 minutes, just like, just writing and scratching out different versions of the joke with seeing how many different bats you can get into.
Like, with just like fucking head in my hands, like, what does it mean? What does it all mean?
Would anyone like a quote from Sir Ben Kingsley on his motivation behind being in this film?
Please do.
Was it pasties?
This is from.
was it that I get to have braids for once?
Was it that I got to listen to Michael Madsen's Cockney accent?
Was it that I lost too many bets and got too drunk one time?
Somehow, all of those are better than the real one.
Did he actually drink the blood of that child, and that was part of his contract?
We'll make a film around this just to get him out of it.
He and Meatloaf were on this right fucking bender in Romania, and they bumped into Uwe Boll and his crew.
Bloodrayne is a documentary.
So
that's how Ben Kingsley likes to go out. He powders and wigs up, and he's like, "Too old. Give me the child." Oh,
from
God.
a 2007 interview in Time magazine. To be honest, I've always wanted to play a vampire with the teeth and the long black cape. Let's say that my motives for doing it were somewhat immature.
Oh my God. That's amazing.
He just wanted to dress up fancy.
This actually keys in. Like, that makes so much more sense now in my brain. I'm so glad that you found that and that says it, because I was thinking Michelle Rodriguez relatively early in her career. And I'm like, okay, you want to make a name for yourself. Surely with a discerning eye, you see that this is, even though you're acting alongside Michael Madsen and Ben Kingsley and all that, this is a dog shit movie. Maybe it's not your best choice unless you want to become Greg. And I was thinking, no, actually, she got to go to Romania and LARP getting drunk with Michael Madsen for about 6 weeks. I would buy that for someone, like a Virgin Holiday kind of deal package. I'd win that as a prize.
You can get that on Groupon.
Uwe Boll's on Groupon.
Michelle, listen, do you fancy going to a castle where you can get pissed with your girlfriend and watch Ben Kingsley refuse to stand out of a chair?
This is a series of couples packages. Meatloaf and Ben Kingsley. Michelle Rodriguez.
I love the idea of Uwe Boll funding all of his movies on Wildshire. he just buys everything on discount.
Man.
Where did we get to?
Oh, God.
Should we talk about the sex scene?
The sex scene was interesting. It was very bland. I wanted to get into it. To be honest, the movie was so gay that I was disappointed that it was, a hetero sex scene, especially because the only reason they seem to be attracted to each other is because they're orphans, which I know I'm paying Bloodrayne for it. It's a weird thing that exists in all of movies where it'll be like, my parents are also dead. And then they, for some reason, fall in love or become best friends or some shit. I've never met an orphan who was immediately attracted to other orphans. Yeah. And wanted to fuck them.
Wasn't that the plot of Oliver Twists? Oliver gets in and he's just like, oh, fucking hell, look at him.
Oh, God,
he didn't
look
fuck
at
the Artful Dodger.
Oh, come, grow up. Of course he did.
Consider yourself my sub.
Consider yourself. I'm the power bottom.
Oh, my God.
Like, I will say, it's that kind of thing where when you see a trope done badly, it draws attention to itself in the way that it's done. Because that's, I think part of the reason the sex scene doesn't fit is it literally, beat for beat, it goes, oh, I'm a damp here and I'm having a bad time. And then he goes, me boss killed me ma'am. And she goes, oh, that's right, fucking sexy, that is.
Lick my nipples, very unsexily.
Hey, wait. I do like that they gave some attention to a little bit of the titty licking because, like, you never see that in movies, and I feel like that's training a generation to not give appreciation to the titty. I think you've got to catch that shit.
It is a real step up. Like, Alone in the Dark to Bloodrayne is like, it's like we went from Team America to Cinemax, at least.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, Cinemax isn't good, but it's better than puppets humping.
It's not hubbity-bubbity, that's for sure.
That is true. So,
we haven't seen Greg get anything in these 3 movies.
He looked buff. He looked fucking hench that movie.
If Jason Statham doesn't
the hair
fuck
of a
Wilson,
hyena. So, why would you want to?
If we watch In the Name of the King, a Dungeon Siege tale, and Jason Statham doesn't bend Will Sanderson over and give it to him exactly as he deserves, I'm boycotting the rest of this series.
Yeah, no, I'm with that.
Because Greg, he deserves it.
He deserved a threesome. One of my notes is, what would a threesome be like between Will Sanderson and Meatloaf? And I think that was
and
my
Billy
main...
Zane.
Fucking disgusting.
That's it.
They're all just pulling each other's hair and it's all just coming off.
They're pulling the husk off those coconuts, that's for sure.
Oh, fuck me.
This got so much more cursed than I ever dreamed.
This is very cursed.
I will say, the ideal reaction from a sex scene is always going to be like a kind of reaction. Like that's what you want when you're writing a sex scene. And that did happen when I was watching it, but only because when she gets slammed up against the bars, I was really concerned for her lumbar support. And I kind of went, ooh. And that was as bad as erotic as it got for me personally. I was like, oh god.
More concerned than eroticism then.
Yeah.
They did show off some really good athleticism because I get the feeling that maybe they did several takes. Christiane seems like she's kind of like a wild child thing. But I wonder if they did 2 or 3 versions of that. And she's just on the bars the whole time, just going the whole time. And I'm thinking, that's just not really well done. You know,
like a dissatisfied orangutan trying to get out of the zoo. That's what she looked like.
That is
fucking
so
standing by it.
Apt. Oh my god, he did look like he was about to be devoured. Oh yeah, because she tried to, didn't he? And he was like, no. She tried to eat him like that one bland vampire who died before she realized she wasn't getting loved by it. And then he was like, no.
You know, it like you say, it's raising a generous generation. Also raising, understanding of consent and limits and boundaries. Very nice. She does continue to try and bite him at least 2 other times throughout the film. So not a great.
And also his response. Word. His response to the no, it wasn't quite the kind of dramatic. No, it was more like me trying to get my dog to drop a bit of bread that he's found on the floor. No. Rain.
Grabbing it by the face, and it's just like no.
Spit it out.
Michael Madsen comes in. He's like, "What have you got? What have you got?"
And then immediately after that, Rain had to take her worming tablets.
Disgusting.
Oh, it's 2021. It's horse paste.
There was that one guy in the circus when she was a prisoner back at the beginning who got really drunk and decided he wanted some vampire tail. And presumably she's been there a little bit. And he's sort of knows she's a vampire. How fucking wasted do you have to be to think, oh, have a go at that? Oh, I'll give that a try. Because he dies immidately and gives her superpowers so she can kill everybody. And I've got to think, how desperate are you? You're a fine-looking man. How high your bar? Come on.
In my notes, I describe that as 8 minutes of carny snuff. Because that's exactly what it is.
It is. And also, it instantly makes Greg and Michael Madsen unlikable because they just kill the unfortunate woman who's a vampire now. Rather than being like, oh, this is what's happened to you. It's going to suck, but maybe we can help you. Or, maybe you could help us. You have vampire powers. You may be able to help us take down, maybe a vampire. But no, it's just like, we're going to kill you right now without any explanation. You're dead.
Don't live with Billy fucking Zane. He's a vampire, isn't he? Wasn't that a plot point?
Yeah, that was a thing. Also, I've got to wonder, at first I thought, because they were getting news bulletins and contracts, they were vampire hunters, I thought they were getting paid by the local populace, or whoever that they killed vampires for, they would get paid in some way. I thought they were getting compensated.
Rules,
yeah, Witcher rules, exactly. Except they walk into the place and they immediately start burning everybody, chopping off everybody's heads with nary a hello to all of the carnies or villagers or whatever. And I kept thinking, are they government funded? Are they the NHS of vampire?
They're just cops.
That's why
they're a bunch of fucking nerds.
Why has the national insurance gone up? It's for all the fucking vampires. We need to pay Michael Madsen to go around chopping off heads everywhere, or else we'll be plagued.
Also, where the fuck did he pull that, 2-gallon bottle of holy water?
Yeah, there was a weird amount of holy water in this film.
Because the other guy pulls out clearly American whiskey bottles of holy water. It's very shaped like that, like a Woodford Reserve, very much shaped like that. There was a lot of holy water.
I mean, after Billy Zane got to this film, the only prop they could afford was just tap water, so that's what they had to go with.
I don't think anybody uses it either.
Whiskey bottles Michael Madsen had just finished.
So many props were just reused from the carnage left behind by Michael Madsen and Meatloaf.
That scene where, they pan over the town that's been fucked up and, there are a bunch of dead people haven't been ripped apart. That's just what it looks like when Michael Madsen's on one. That's just that's just the aftermath of fucking a Madsen party.
Yeah, so much of this felt improvised. The shots, very Lord of the Rings style, where they're all riding on horseback for interminable years at a time. God, it really is so on the mark when you say he's 11-year-old boy that has seen lots of movies but has no idea how to make them, because he saw Underworld, Tomb Raider, The Lord of the Rings, and
Indiana Jones,
Pirates of the Caribbean, all of these things. I kept looking at shots I see where you got that from. I saw that too. Yeah. I got that reference. But those long horseback shots, you reckon they just bailed from production? They were just take the horses and ride! And they're chasing after them on a helicopter with a megaphone, just Michael! Michael, come back!
What you don't actually know is that that's actually just 3 of the prostitutes that have put on the wigs and the capes and have just stolen 3 horses.
As a diversion, so that Michael Madsen could go fuck in the place where Vlad the Impaler once spent a night.
One of the horses isn't even a horse, it's just Meatloaf, just galloping. Just going for it.
Yeah, one of them is markedly slower and fatter. That's the Meatloaf. But yeah,
we'll fix it in post.
one of the bits is Rain literally has to lift up an artifact that causes a Indiana Jones booby trap, with the weighted platform. It's the same thing. It's the same thing.
Exactly the same thing.
That scene, I don't want to be a CinemaSins ding type person.
Yeah.
That scene brought it out of me because it starts to flood, and that's fine. They had established through, relatively solid exposition, water bad.
Yeah.
When it gets to her shoe, it starts fizzing. Is her shoe also a vampire?
It also
is that why she never changes? Is that why she never changes clothes? Because it's just like a skin suit.
Despite the fact that the white boy said, our seamstress has made you some new clothes. Were they not fucking good enough? Because she didn't change.
It's I was going to say, she was given a new outfit and then returns wearing the outfit she was just in. It is incredible.
It made me wonder if it was a new outfit and I didn't realize. And I was like, why didn't the seamstress finish?
No.
Was her belly not worth covering up?
Seeing it twice, it was as that bit was coming up, I was like, I am going to memorize every fucking detail of this outfit so that I can at least know what they changed. Nothing. Nope. Didn't change a fucking thing. It was assless chaps going in, assless chaps coming out.
Yeah. But you're absolutely right about the booby traps, where it was hard not to nitpick, because as well as the water hissing her vampire boots, it also started pouring out, and then it got up to a very, very low level, to the point where, with her upper body strength, where she can fuck a guy on a prison bar for a good fucking 10 minutes or something. Yeah. I'm pretty sure she could have stayed there for a good long while until somebody came in to go what's all this kerfuffle about? Why are all the pillars destroyed? And then she could have escaped. I don't know why it came out as the trickle at the end of a shower, basically, where it just goes...
Yeah, the last couple of seconds of the hangover piss, where you can't even be asked to finish up. Yeah,
and a bodily convulsion just goes.
yeah. It's the final monasterial ship, piss shiver. That's the level we're talking. Also the big chapter before that with the fucking crazy whirring saws room, which is I know what to do, and just chucks her sword into it. It's oh, you silly moo, you've lost your sword now. What was that? What'd you do that for? There's no need.
Yeah, she really probably should have been sliced in half. The effects on that one, I had to make several notes, because there was a bit that had me going what? Because the effects were garbage up to that point, and they peaked at the saw blades, where they looked absolutely horrible. It was just terrible. And I'm annoyed that she activated the trap several times in a row, because I was like, don't show me anymore. I saw it the first time. I got the picture. Fuck. And then, but later on, when Meatloaf dies, when he cooks, when he becomes a burnt meatloaf, burnt ends. Fucking when Meatloaf dies as a vampire, it becomes burnt ends. And then when he dies and his little skeleton is going like and on fire, that looked great. That was pretty good, fucking amazing. And I was
2005, that was all right.
Yeah, that was better than most things I've seen around 2005. And I wondered what intern was trying to make his name and get credited, because like it was way better than everything else. And I think somebody really, really pulled out the stops to be like, I was involved in this and I just wanted to do a genuinely good job. And that gave me a really, really positive thought that there were people here who were like, fuck this shit. I'm going to do my bit. I'm going to do a good job.
I'm going to put it down to associate producer Max Wanko, my favorite person on the credit roll.
Oh my God.
So I just found an interview from 2008 with Michael Madsen. Dude's got some things to say about his time on Bloodrayne.
Oh no.
So you remember we were talking about how the horses, like, what if it turned out it was just the horses had fucking bolted? Turns out quite a lot of truth to that.
No.
Apparently they were like, Uwe Boll could only find like the most skittish and mentally unstable horses in Romania. And apparently the moment the clapperboard hit on a horse riding scene, Madsen's horse rode itself directly into a tree. The dude spent the entire the entire shoot with a catheter in his arm because he was so fucked up from the local cuisine. He lost like 12 pounds.
Oh my God.
He had to dive into a pool of water because he was being attacked by bees. And he described on the way to set, I'd come across potato carts and dead horses.
Oh my God.
Presumably because Meatloaf was ahead of him.
That's amazing.
That's the film I want to see.
To be an NPC in The Witcher. This is ridiculous.
And this is the most beautiful thing, because this really shows how little information Michael Madsen bothered to get about this whole thing. Because this is his description of Uwe Boll. He says, I don't even know what his movies are about and why he keeps the same theme of people in the jungle and the vampires who ride in from space, which the interview includes a little sick. It's like citation needed. And then he says, what are you doing, Uwe? Bloodrayne was an abomination. It's a horrifying and preposterous movie.
Okay.
But Uwe was fun. If he called me tomorrow and wanted me to be in a movie, I would do it.
Michael, you're better than this, Michael.
Michael, blink twice if you're being held against your will.
This is Stockholm Syndrome.
To him. You're better without him.
Michael, open your mouth a little bit if you need help.
Mouth it with your tiny mouth. Help.
This man suffered.
Okay, so that goes in some way
on set
to explain his just general. You know how it was in the movie, but like
Madsen,
we were most his Madsenness, you know, his mads.
Like,
and
now I watch those scenes and you realize that dude was shitting himself 24/7.
Yeah, it wasn't just that he was blasé and drunk; he was those things as well. But he was also afraid of fucking bees. Oh my God, that's amazing! Not the bees.
So we touched upon the credits a moment ago, and I think it's now time for Ellie and I's discovery.
Please.
So, earlier, Drew, you asked if there were any assistants in the film, and there was at least one that Ellie and I noticed. This person was credited as assistant to Dr. Boll.
Gross.
So Ellie and I did some digging. Uwe Boll is a doctor.
What do you think? Take a guess at what Uwe Boll's PhD is in.
BDSM.
Have you seen his sex scenes?
No, that's definitely not.
That's undergraduate shit at best.
That's an open university course that he didn't even open the email from. Like that's.
Actually, to be fair, his sex scenes make me want to say my safe word.
Actually, the Meatloaf, the house in Meatloaf did look like how I've heard some clubs in Berlin described to me. And either Uwe Boll knows people who can get you into those clubs, or he owns those clubs secretly.
No, in all fairness, they just travel wherever Meatloaf is. He's like he's like Priscilla, Queen of the Desert, but instead of a van, it's just a bunch of sex workers wheeling on people.
You don't hire Meatloaf. Meatloaf hires you.
Find yourself in the vicinity and cash falls into your sweaty palms.
Is he a doctor in like culinary sciences or something like that?
No, weirder. His doctorate thesis, as far as we can tell, was it comparative literature? It
was literature. Yeah, he's a doctor of literature.
What?
Uwe Boll outranks all of us.
We did that shit.
Yeah. Everyone in this call, Uwe Boll could have been one of our teachers.
He stuck it out more than we did.
And this is why the university fees are a good thing. They stop people like Uwe Boll from getting a doctorate.
I just like the idea that in an alternate universe, Uwe Boll is on a 4-person podcast studying the films of Tom Baker.
Oh, Christ. They're going to be a lot more prudish.
As he makes The Room, but worse somehow.
I've almost got the hair for Tommy Wiseau now. I'm getting there.
Yeah,
You are close. You are bordering on Billy Zane / Meatloaf in this film. So Ellie and I did some digging, and then we discovered a lot about.
I found out too much about Uwe Boll in a really, really short amount of time.
Concentrated Boll. Yeah.
I say that we did some research. Ellie did a lot of research, and I was sat like this.
That's
we discovered that until 2018. Uwe Boll, in fact, had his own podcast, Uwe Boll Raw.
Yeah.
And through that, we found a Kickstarter for a video game made by Dr. Boll. And as far as we could tell, it did not reach its funding goal, tragically. But it did get at least 2 backers.
And one of them is presumably Uwe, so...
And the other one's Uwe's wife.
Greg.
Yeah, Will Sanderson.
Greg. Will Sanderson doesn't have a fucking penny to his name, don't lie.
No,
listen.
Yeah. Greg lives in a van. Like, that's realistic.
Greg and Uwe Boll are still friends to this day because Will Sanderson is on like a 2018 episode of Uwe Boll Raw, the Uwe Boll podcast presented by Uwe Boll.
We need to have a listen to that.
We've got some homework.
That's gonna. Once we're done with the movies, we move on to the podcast.
No, we got to do the Billy Zaniac podcast first.
Oh yeah, Zaniac.
But we need to do the game. So Ellie and I found the trailer for it, and the trailer is longer than some of Uwe Boll's films.
Oh my god!
Like it just keeps going and going. But it's basically Earthbound as filtered through the craziest man in Europe.
Craziest man in Europe who still seems to think it's the Bush administration?
Yeah.
What?
Yes. So, kind of. So that's where it gets really weird, right? So it came out in 2018. Well, he wanted to come out in 2018. Obviously, that didn't happen because the universe hates us personally. The game itself, you play as the main character of the Rampage series. So Uwe Boll, like we eventually will be getting to Rampage, one assumes. You play as the main character of Rampage, going around and just sort of doing things, but also the villains include Donald Trump, Hillary Clinton. Was Ted Cruz one of them?
At least he's bipartisan. Okay, go on.
Yeah, that's true. Like, my politics seem to line up quite well with Uwe Boll, because I don't like Hillary Clinton or Donald Trump either. So
is your whole interest in this, like, where can I get the beta copy of the game where I can beat the shit out of Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton?
I honest to God, I really want to get hold of this game. It's like I think I've told you all about this. I really want to get hold of the game that's a Japanese game where you help Gorbachev build a water pipeline in Japan.
You described this to me, Liam, and it terrified me, so I didn't look into it any further.
I'm definitely going to find a copy.
I found the Kickstarter page for Uwe Boll Bowl presents President Evil, the video game for PC. President Evil is an adaptive overhead retro-star RPG. You're Bill Williamson. Team up with Hillary to battle evil Trump and save us all. It had a funding goal of £2,406. It's obviously converting to UK.
That was the goal.
That was the goal.
Two grand.
I was wrong. It had 7 backers. Would anyone like to hazard a guess of the amount pledged for Uwe Boll Bowl presents President Evil, the video game for PC?
£8. 6 backers paid £1 each. Will Sanderson gave £2, which is all he has to his name.
I'm gonna.
He didn't eat that day.
It's got to be in the triple digits, like £300. £300.
Liam,
I think I agree with Tom. It's got to be at least triple digits. I'm going to say 150.
83.
Oh,
it didn't even make triple digits.
Oh no.
Oh.
But the thing is, people would want to play this. I feel like it's just poor marketing and exposure on his part. He probably just assumed that his name value is better than it is and that he could just put it out into the ether and people would find it. I imagine he put no marketing budget behind this at all.
He needs regular content dumps in order to actually get his shit out there.
Even in
2018, it's a thing of the past in people's minds. That was 2018, right?
Yeah.
I
would have donated to that out of like sarcasm.
I have found the same page that Ellie mentioned, and there is one update from a fellow G Otto, which one presumes is like one of the developers.
Gary Otto is basically the seemingly Boll's creative partner for most of like the last several years. I know that he produces Boll's podcasts. So I will presume that Gary Otto is sort of the other side of the used bill empire.
Of course. Mr. Otto writes, so we have the donations truly flying in with only 20 days to go. 7. I just want to remind 7. To those 4 magnificent backers, I must say thank you. Please remember that if we do not reach our goal, no rewards will be issued, you won't be charged, and the game will sadly remain as vaporware, unfinished and unreleased. If the game is funded, however, it can be finished and released. Super cool, right, gamers?
Oh, wow.
Please note that the footage in the video is actual gameplay footage with tentative music and some graphics that may change from the final build. So,
oh my God.
There is a game out there, and we have to get our hands on it.
We have a new mission.
Yeah. Also, the lowest pledge, the $1 pledge, you don't even get the game. It literally says you get a special thank you for pledging $1. We get it. You're poor in wallet, but not in spirit. You get no video game or anything else you're seeing. So long, sucker.
Oh my
God. No backers. Oh my God, you have to donate $20 or more just to get the game, the digital version of the game.
I've never seen a fucking Kickstarter have the lowest tier. You poor fucks.
These had to have been written by Boll himself because they are so the $3 pledge for President Evil PC wallpaper. 2 can play the game of being cheap. So in this, you give me a 5. Uwe, this is for the $3, but fine. And I give you the exclusive President Evil wallpaper to make you cream on the computer screens like drying of the hair.
What?
Okay, so
translation issues there.
Listeners of the podcast will know that Ellie and I run a comedy night where we read out fan fiction written by the internet's singular best people. There is a person who we regularly host, whose work we regularly host, called Shakespeare Hemingway, who writes like that. Like, honestly, God, just like that. And I don't think he's a native English speaker, or a native speaker of any language. I think he might be from another planet. Like, that's fucking remarkable. I'm reading ahead, much like I did at school. The $69 pledge reads
$69, really?
$69 US
Nice.
Reads, you may not know what it looks like, but believe me, it will be cool. So your car will be cool. It's a bumper sticker, by the way. There's no information about what it looks like. There's no picture or anything. You will not be surprised to know there are 0 backers for that one.
What is the highest tier?
The highest tier is $222. $333, where you get to be a character in the game.
This gives me, all of these words give me so much, where it's just like, what is a man?
There is a reality where we could have pledged that amount and one single-handedly funded the game, and secondly, all been the protagonist.
I'm serious. It was 2,400 quid, right?
Yeah.
We could have done that with a little bit of prep.
We could have done a Kickstarter to fund the Kickstarter.
We could have easily put that together just from our douchebag friends. Just like we would have done that.
$83. $83 each would have got us the one of us would be a character in the game.
We could have done together. God damn it, Uwe.
We missed
out. Have some marketing budget. Oh, that's so.
Although it'd be nice to note that his podcast season 5 for 2021, as of February this year, has been fully funded. So we can rest.
That's
rest
a relief.
easy.
That is good.
Knowing that Uwe Boll Raw season 5 coming sometime in 2021.
I know it's not. I know it's not, but in my head canon, and I will not hear any different. It's like the old 2008 emo RAWR Raw. So he's actually just an edgy 14-year-old through and through. So it's got episode titles like "I Can Has Cheeseburger" and "I Made You a Cookie, but I Eated It." So
Raw means "I love you" in German.
Okay, I'm really fucking mad that we didn't donate to this either, because the unique rewards include an Uwe Boll's first EP of covers by Enya, Marilyn Manson, Weezer, Kanye West, and more.
Enya.
That's the most baffling one, isn't it?
I mean, yeah, because Uwe Boll and Kanye West have a disturbing amount in common with each other. Delusions of grandeur, an adequate amount of talent in order to be present, but not enough for their arrogance. Yeah.
It's the triumvirate of Peter Molyneux, Uwe Boll, and Kanye West. They are the holy trinity of people who lie frequently about their artistic
There's a D&D alignment shot. It's
movies, video games, and music. They are the three spokespeople.
You've got Peter Molyneux on the good. Chaotic good. Uwe Boll in the neutral and Kanye West. Oh my god!
I had to close that because this is completely fucking fallen apart. Remember when it was about Bloodrayne?
I mean,
fuck Bloodrayne. This is so much more.
I feel like that we've naturally reached some sort of conclusion. I'm not sure it's the conclusion we should have reached. But it's one we have reached. Did anyone else have anything else they wanted to say about Bloodrayne?
No, I wanted to. No, I don't. I don't have anything to say. I want to talk about Dr. Boll and his fucking podcast.
Please stop calling him Dr. Boll, because he sounds like a villain.
You've started mopping your forehead so much more since talking about Dr. Boll.
Oh god! You need to stop. You need to stop calling him Dr. Boll, because he sounds like some kind of multi-armed creature holding scalpels, just like, "Yeah, I'm gonna get you, cut your movie apart." Yeah.
Dr. Boll does sound like a own brand Swedish medication for constipation. Dr. Boll. If Metro do April, like something like that. You know what I mean? Like,
or like some kind of euphemism where it's like you need to go see someone about your penis, and it's the code that you can say at the doctor's so that you don't have to like say out loud, "I have something wrong with my penis." Instead, you're like, "I need to see Dr. Boll," and they're like,
actually, maybe that's it. Like, I'm going to start using that as a euphemism for I'm about to take a shit. Back in a minute. I'm going to go see Dr. Boll.
God damn. No, I did actually have something to say about Bloodrayne, and that was I want to give a little round of applause to Maureen Webb, who was the casting director for the movie, because she is either fucking amazing at her job, sucked a lot of dick, or has so much dirt on so many people that like she managed to assemble this crew together. And I didn't get a chance. I got sidetracked with other things, but I want to avidly follow Maureen Webb's career because she's one of the best casting directors. She gives like the Marvel one a run for her money because she can get anybody.
It's because she comes in and she's like, "Oh, Madsen, I've seen what you and Kingsley been up to."
The thing is, they haven't been up to anything.
I know what you did to Meatloaf.
Michael Madsen's so drunk that he doesn't know that she's like bullshitting. He thinks it's true. It's just like, oh, Jesus, what have I done with Meatloaf? And what have I done with Ben Kingsley?
She's actually one of those like secret like fixer types in Hollywood. And what she does is relocate Hollywood productions to whatever location an actor is getting fucked up on a bender. It's like, quick, Meatloaf and Billy Zane are on one. You need to set up some cameras and put everybody in fake wigs. Go on.
Geraldine Chaplin has killed her, man. We need to move around the country fast.
The thing is, though, is people like Maureen and Will Sanderson are people who I legitimately think we could get on the podcast if we reached out to them. I feel like they're attainable. So I think we should try.
I'm fully serious that I want Will Sanderson. My last note for this movie is, can we, first of all, write Will Sanderson's Wikipedia page? Because he doesn't have one. And
I know, that's criminal.
That's fucking insane. That's rude.
We are at this point his biggest fans.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And that's not like a giant, that's not ironic. Like, I am, every single time he turns up in one of these movies now, I am just instantly in the best fucking mood.
100%.
If there was
my best friend and biological father, Greg. Yeah,
like, there was a lack of Greg in Alone in the Dark is big part of the reason why I hated that movie so much.
Yeah. I clung to those moments like a drowning sailor inhaling bubbles of air. I was like, give me more Greg. And when he came out with that haircut in this movie, that carried me such a long way. I want more Greg, and I'm glad to know that he continued working with Uwe Boll, so we can expect to see him one or two more times, maybe. But he's definitely what I cling to, and I both want to write his Wikipedia page with all that we know about him. I want to interview him. I want to know everything, and God damn it, I just want some people to recognize the guy, because what a life to lead! What stories he must have to tell. Oh my God.
When we eventually do the Uwe Boll charity watching marathon, we have to do the drinking game that whenever Will Sanderson's on screen, we eat waterfall. So it's going to be horrendously awful for the first film, pretty tolerable for the second one where you sober up. You're going to die by Bloodrayne. So
here's my question, chaps, is that are we going full Boll, or are we just doing the video games? Because if we're just doing the video game movies, we only have one more Greg.
Oh no!
Well, then we've got to do all of them.
If we do all of them, we get two Gregs.
What's he in?
He's in Seed, where he plays Max Seed. Which means there's a chance we could have like a 100% Greg saturation in that film, because if he's playing the protagonist.
We kind of kill myself drinking through that. Then I won't have to watch any more Uwe Boll movies. Win-win.
It looks like a vague Texas Chainsaw Massacre ripoff. So
I do love the naming convention where the movie's called Seed, so your main character is Max Seed. I'd love the idea that like Bloodrayne was just Lizzie Bloodrayne this whole time.
Hello, my name is Nathan Alone in the Dark.
It's Norwegian or some shit.
No, it's the Tara Reid's character was called The Dark. Sorry, Tara Reid. I still want to know. I'm still on Team Tara Reid in that feud between her and Uwe Boll. I'm 100% on Team Tara.
A fucking course. Like, you put me against anyone. Honestly, if there was a fight between Stalin and Uwe Boll, I'd have a hard time. Really?
Bad news. It looks like in Seed that Will wears a mask the entire time.
Oh,
it's fine. You can't contain that Greg energy.
Big Greg energy.
Well, that's something we can all have more of in our life. Big Greg energy.
Oh my god!
I'm already on antidepressants, Tom.
Yeah, me too.
We all are.
Actually, yeah.
I've had to double my dosage.
It's either Seed or we all have to get really into Hot Wheels acceleracers.
Really? What?
Because that is what Will Sanderson seemed to spend most of his time doing in between.
Oh, he voice acts as that one character, doesn't he? Oh, yeah, I remember this when I was Googling him.
He plays Marky Wild.
He's played him a lot of times. By the way, who was the doctor? Where I found that one photo of him.
Boll.
Dr.
Boll.
Dr. Boll.
It's Dr. Uwe Boll.
He plays Dr. Boll.
He's Dr. Uwe Boll. That's the guy you mean. I'm so sorry. Whilst looking at the... I'm really sorry. I'm so sorry to cut you off, Drew. I really am. I was looking at the cast for the other films that Uwe has done. And Larry Thomas appears in Postal as Osama bin Laden. And I
don't want to watch that film.
No.
Really don't.
Postal is good. Like,
no, it's not. It can't be.
No.
Postal games.
Until I decided that I was Greg aligned and like just really, really into Greg. That was my favorite Uwe Boll movie because I've seen a few of them. Like up until this point, the only ones I hadn't seen were Far Cry and all the way through Alone in the Dark. So I stopped. And Postal genuinely made me piss myself laughing. Uwe Boll is in it in an extremely self-referential cameo. Extremely self-referential. Uwe Boll is hilarious in that movie, and someone described him as like being really, really caught up in the Bush administration, and you definitely feel that throughout the whole time in Postal. But there are moments where it's genuinely funny, like in the way that Billy Zane improving was funny. And I don't know how to, until you see it, I won't know how to explain it to you. But Postal may be either the most angering movie because it shows that there was good in him after all, or it may show that like, oh, holy shit, this is as close as he can come. This is as good as he can get. No. Postal made me laugh a lot.
I am fucking dreading it. Like, sincerely, I am dreading it.
I mean, have any of you played Postal the game?
I mean, here's the thing. It can't be worse.
Yeah.
It can't be worse than the Postal games.
Can't be worse than Postal the games, no.
Yeah. Maybe that's like Ellie coming from Alone in the Dark into Bloodrayne. I was thinking, oh, this is good, isn't it? And then me coming from Postal the games into Postal the movie directed by Uwe Boll. I was thinking, it could be what I've seen worse. I've seen worse. So either there's better or worse to come. And I like to think that gives me hope and despair at the same time.
So there's the question, folks. What is the next game then? The next game movie. So that's In the Name of the King, right?
Which has a cast which rivals Bloodrayne's. Because we've got Statham.
Really does.
We've got Statham. Ron Perlman. We've got Ray Liotta. We've got John Rhys Davis. We've got Matthew fucking Lillard.
Burt Reynolds.
Burt
fucking
Reynolds.
Christiana Loken comes back. Yay. All right. Jonathan Rhys Davies. Oh my god. Lily Sobieski.
I am actually kind of excited about this one.
That's amazing. I don't know anything about In the Name of the King, so this is going to be real news to me.
I assume at some point some dungeons are sieged.
Yeah. One would hope.
We can only hope, yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
I like the idea of going into one of these things completely blind and then just getting, as Sorry, I'm just looking at the starring page on the Wikipedia page in the name of the king, and all of these people with blue hyperlinks on their starring names, and then Will Sanderson in the middle with just a blank.
Justice for Sanderson.
There's not even a red link where, like, once upon a time he had like, a Wikipedia page. Yeah.
That has to be the one legacy of the Uwe Boll Bowl, is that we have to get Will Sanderson a Wikipedia page.
And I don't see any reason why not, because we can cite sources. We have plenty to go on. We've got lots to talk about, clearly. It's like
far too much free time.
Wait, can all of the sources for Will Sanderson's Wikipedia page just be this show?
Well, that's why we need to get an interview from him. The candid Will Sanderson interview.
Like you could literally have Will Sanderson, Liam Mills's best friend and biological father.
And even better, there's like brackets 1, brackets 2, brackets 3, brackets 4, and each one is just one of us.
And the fucking under the aliases section is just Greg.
Will Sanderson, also known as Greg,
otherwise known as Mr. Mills.
My biological father and best friend. Fuck me.
Oh, and on that note, I feel like our foreheads are all much shinier than when we started this recording. So I think it's time to call it a day. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining me on the third edition, the difficult third album of the Uwe Boll Bowl.
This is only the third.
Yep.
Yeah, this is our because of the internet. Yeah. That's where we're at right now.
Well, I feel like shit.
It's all downhill from here, and we started pretty downriver.
Sack of shit.
Make sure to follow youtube.com/UDS Films for all manner of far superior content. I'm joking. We make better content than Uwe Boll. I'll state my claim on that. But we've also got video essays. We've got tier lists. We've got all manner of fun stuff and more stuff to come. So be on the ground floor with your pals or visit upsidedownshot.com for more stuff on everything we do. Stuff. My name is Stuff, and this has been the Uwe Boll Stuff.
Against